Alright guys, welcome back. Now in this video we're going to look at how to create users in Parse. To start working with creating users and logging in, we need users in the first place. So when users sign up, let's create users. Now to do this, we're going to create this as the initial view first of all, so that we avoid launching the login all the time. So now as you can see, if I enter my information or whatever and try to sign up, it just nothing happens at all. So because there's no connection that is going on between this and Parse. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So to begin, now we need to create a view controller that will control the this sign up screen. Just like this, the view controller right here. This view controller controls the login, right? This one here. Now, if I was to change this to, let's say, login view controller, and then rename here to login, just for consistency, I will save that. And as you can see now, this one is no longer controlled by the view controller. If I try to run that, I'll get an error. So because I have to change this now from view controller to login view controller. That is just changing the name just for consistency. It have worked previously, but just for the sake of this consistency. Now, since we have the login view controller that controls the login, let's create one that controls the sign up. And to do that, I'm going to say file, new file, and this one is going to be a Cocoa class this time. Make sure it's a Cocoa class. Say next, and as you can see, it's a subclass of a UI view controller, and that's why you say register view controller or whatever you want to call it. And then it's Swift, not Objective-C, and then next, and then save your file. Click create, and then as you can see, a Cocoa file is created, and we have to just simply change this to UI kit, else we'll get an error. Excuse me. Now, as you can see, we have a register view controller and a login view controller. Now let's make this view right here be controlled by the register view controller. And to do that, we just click it again and come back similar to what we did in the login one, and we just come here to this identity inspector and select register, not login, and now you get the hang of it. Okay, so as you can see, the whole thing, when I click here, it's register view controller. So that is good. After doing that, now we can start working with the registration view controller right here. So click on this register, and then one thing I like to do is split the screen into two as well. And then here I want to open the recent file, and I want to open the main storyboard, as you can see, we have our storyboard right here, and this is our view controller. Now let's start dragging in the views that we'll be working with. Make sure this says register view controller, else you'll get an error similar to that. So drag this. Now we have a class here. One thing I want to do is hide this file, and I can do that by just clicking. So I create space. As you can see, it's now looking a little. So let's drag the username text field. Now I'm going to call this username text field, and then click connect. Make sure it's an outlet, of course. And then email, I'll do the same. Drag it in there, and then say email text field. Click connect, and then the password. Drag the password, and then say password text field, and then click connect. Now what you're doing here is just connecting these items here so that you could work with them in code here. So when I say username text field, that text is probably going to set equals to something is going to set to this, or get, if I say that, you get the point. And then sign up, I want to drag it in here, and then I will give it, so this one is a sign up. I'm going to give it, it's a button. I'm going to select action. Now you're selecting action. This means that it will be taking it'll do performing an action upon click. And this, if you've done iOS before, you'll notice that mostly labels don't have actions. It's just buttons and maybe text fields. Now I'll give it a name and say sign up button, and then click connect. All right, and then let's just say give a sign up button. And then so what do we want to do when the sign up button is clicked? We want to grab all the data and store them in Parse, right? So right now, let's say the user clicks the button. We want to display what they've entered. If there's no data entered, they will be prompted with an error. So let's just do that right now. So to do this, I'm going to create 3 variables here to hold the data that the user has entered. Excuse me. I'm going to say var, and I'm going to say username equals to the username text field dot text, and then I'll do the same for the email equals to email text field dot text, and then the password equals to password text field dot text. Now to check for emptiness, check if not empty, then store in Parse. So I'm going to say if username dot is empty or email dot is empty. This checks if they're empty, those two, and then the third one is password dot is empty. We want to do something, and notice I'm using the 2 pipes to say or. If I would say and, that would probably, that's not more efficient, but or is definitely going to check either of those. Now if they're empty, an empty field exists, alert user or something, and then else, so there's no error, definitely success, store user data, store user in Parse. So we create a new user and store it in Parse. So here we're going to need the Parse code. Now to do this, we could type it off our head by saying var Parse user equals to all of that good stuff. But if you're in a rush, sometimes you just come to docs iOS and then type, and then click objects. Not objects pretty much, but users. So you just want to, this is referring to the documentation for quick reference. And how do you create a user in Swift? This is the method right here. So we can copy the whole method, but I'll just copy the code itself and then work with it. So I'll move that and then come here, and then we just paste that in there. And then I like saying end of adding user code, something so that I know if I want to move this code. So then I would say beginning. Some people don't like comments, but they help me sometimes when I will have to. So, and then we now say, as you can see, I'll walk you through the code here. So simple. This is the end of it. This is how to add a user, and that's it. So all you have to do is say var user equals to pf user, and then user, we set the username. This creates a new user. We set its username to my username. In this case, we just want to delete that, And since the username is not empty of the success, we just input it here. And the password is password, and the email is email. And then sign up in background with block, and then succeeded. So hooray! So the right here the user has signed up successfully. We could just say print line to check the success, and we just say succeeded right here. This will print a true or false if the user succeeded signing up. And as you can see here, we get an error because of the NS. So I'll just delete that and just use the print line function method better. Function or method. And then I'll say the error. I'll print the error here. So this error here, if there's an error. So now let's try to run this and see if we print a true or false or an error. And we'll check into Parse and see if we have this user created. Now, let's create a new user. And in this one, I'm going to say iOS user. Maybe something like that. iOS user at gmail.com or at Apple, whatever. And then iOS user is the password. Maybe for consistency. iOS user. And then sign up. And as you can see here, we see true. Nice. So let's check our code. And the app is live update. And let's check out users. And as you can see, we have an iOS user. iOS user at Gmail, and they just signed up today. So that is pretty cool. Now we can register user, and you can see how that goes. So if you have any question whatsoever, just refer to the videos, or you can ask a question. All right, so that's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to see now how to start working with these users that we've added.